All right, I'd like to welcome you to Ironside Minyan. Sixth Parashat is Parashat Korach. Very, very interesting character in the Torah. This entire lesson is going to be about Korach. Who is Korach? Let's get some background about this gentleman over here. The Parashat begins saying that Korach ben Yitzhar ben Kehat ben Levi. He gave us the lineage. He comes from the Shevet of Levi. He is the son of Yitzhar, who is the son of Kehat, who is originally the son of Levi. He happens to be Moshe's cousin. The Levi had 4 sons. Moshe and Aaron came from Amram. Korach came from Yitzhar, and there's 2 other brothers that came from that line. Korach is known for being a very wealthy man. He was extremely rich. The rabbis tell us that he had 1/3 of the world's riches. 1/3. 1/3 of it is for the time of Mashiach. The other 1/3 that Korach got, the rabbis tell us, he was able to find one of the treasure coves of Yosef. When the whole world was going through starvation, or through the famine, so they would give all their money, all their jewels, everything that they had in order to break bread, in order to get grain. And Yosef had many different places where he kept the money. Korach discovered one of those treasure coves, and that's how he became rich. And there's also another beautiful midrash that I read in Ma'am Loez. You see, the Leviim were not slaves in Egypt. The Leviim were the tribe, like the clergy. So they didn't work. And the Leviim were actually poor. They didn't have any money. So how is it that Korach has 1/3 of the world's riches? How did he become so rich? So Ma'am Loez says that Korach actually opened up the first Home Depot. He opened up a place that sold bricks. And when the Jewish people had their quota lifted from 50 to 100 bricks, let's say, and later on to say that we're not giving you bricks, now you got to get the straw and the mud yourself, and that you got to go to the field and do it. So they couldn't fill their quota anymore. If they had to make 100, they made 70. If they couldn't make 70, they made 80. So they were always missing bricks. So Korach opened up a place where you can come and buy bricks. So the Jewish slaves would go and buy some of the bricks that were missing in order to finish the quota, so they wouldn't get beat up or die, killed. So he was able to cash in on that little niche market, and he became extremely rich from that as well. Korach was also very smart. The Midrashim testified that he was a very smart man. He had chokhmah, binah, vadat. He was also very holy. He was one of the jobs of during the time of the Mishkan was to carry the ark. He was one of the people that carried the ark. And the ark, if you're not holy, it'll zap you straight to death. That never happened with Korach. Imagine. He was on a very, very high spiritual level. He had descendants that were holy. Shmuel HaNavi came from Korach. Now, the thing that he's most famously known for is the machloket that he had with Moshe. When you talk about Korach, we know what's Korach. Korach is machloket. Machloket shelo l'shem shamayim. That's what he's most famously known for. He's also known for to come back and be a tzaddik. There's a line in Shir Shel Yom Shel Shabbat. It says tzaddik katamar yifrach ba'ez v'lebanon yizger. It says, what's tzaddik katamar yifrach? The last letters of tzaddik katamar yifrach. Tzaddik is kuf, katamar is resh, yifrach is chet, korach. Eventually, in the end, Korach is going to be a tzaddik. Just some background on Korach and what's going on with him. But the question is, what was the machloket about? What was the beef that Korach had with Moshe? See, Korach was able to take, he was very influential. He was able to take 250 men. The Torah testifies that there were Anashim. Anashim is important people. Nesiye Edah. They were heads of their tribes. Korei Moed. They were able to decipher the moons and create dates for the Jewish calendar. Anshe Shem, people of name. High caliber people. 250 of those. He was able to convince them to be on his side. He also had Datan and Aviram and On ben Pelet from the Shevet of Reuven. These were the people that were involved in the Machloket. Datan and Aviram, we know that they're Eshaim. We know that throughout the story of Egypt and Yetziat Mitzrayim, they come up always and they talk about them in a negative sense, except for that one midrash we spoke about a while back of Yetziat Mitzrayim. And On ben Pelet, which came from the Shevet of Reuven, which, by the way, what is he doing there? You're not a Levi. You don't have any beef with Moshe. You're Shevet Reuven. You can't serve in the Mishkan. What are you getting involved? Rashi says a few parashiyot ago, Oy la-rasha, oy la-shcheno. Woe to the guy who has a bad neighbor. When you have a bad neighbor, be careful. They're very influential. You might become a rasha just like him. Rashi says that. It's very, very important to see who you're going to live next to, who you associate yourself with, who your friends are. Korach was able to get somebody from a whole other tribe to see things his way. It's not his fight to fight, but he was able to sway him. It says over there in the first few Pesukim, ויקהלו על משה ועל אהרון ויאמרו עליהם רב לכם כי כל העדה כולם קדושים ובתוכה השם ומדוע תתנסו על קהל השם. What was their complaint? What was their approach? They all gathered in front of Moshe and Aharon, and they said to them, it's too much for you. It's too much for you. You're taking everything. Moshe, okay, you're the leader, you're the king. Aharon, okay, you're the Kohen Gadol, you're his brother, you're getting the top two positions, but there's more things going on, and we're all holy. We're all on the same level. Why? Because Hashem is living with us. Hashem is in the middle of the camp, He's with us. So that means we're all holy, just like you. He says, why are you elevating yourself above everyone else? Everyone can do your job. We're all holy over here. How come you are the ones that are being elevated, not us? See, Korach was sour about two things. First, he was upset that he got skipped over. Remember, we said that there were four brothers. The first brother, Amram, had the kids of Moshe and Aharon, and they got the first two positions. They got the position of leader and Kohen Gadol. Now, Elitzaphat ben Uziel was the son of Kehat, who was the fourth in line. And he got a job. What happened? Korach was the son of Kehat, the son of Yitzhar, got skipped over. He says, hey, I'm the next in line. How did you guys go to the last in line and give him a position? He says, what's going on over here? So he was upset that he got skipped over. Meanwhile, each one got chosen by a certain way. It's not like that Moshe decided. So he was sour about getting skipped. Because he thought that it should be Moshe and Aaron, then it would be Korah, and then it would be Elitzaphan ben Uziel, whatever it would be. That's one thing that bothered him. The second thing that bothered him is Korah. Korah, if you look at his name, it's very similar to the word Kerach, ice. He was an ice-cold thinker. He was a very practical, very cut and dry way of thinking. He says, Hashem is living amongst us. We are all holy. Let us all serve Hashem. On that comment, there's a very interesting Rashi. It's in the first one in the parasha. It says, "Parasha zu yafa nidreshet b'midrash Rabbi Tanchuma." Well, again, another cryptic Rashi. He says that this Parashat Korach, the parasha that talks about the biggest machloket of Korach and Adatot, and the 250 men that go against Moshe, is very nicely explained in Midrash Tanchuma. I heard this from Rabbi Gopin, and I'll add some more things to it that I was able to collect along the way. It says that Rashi judged them favorably from the start. In other words, when we say Korach, a bad guy, he went against Moshe. Rashi here says, there's a different way to look at it. There's a positive way of looking at what's going on over here. He says that in the time of Mashiach, all the Leviim are going to do the job of the Kohanim. Now, the Kohanim are coming from one person, from Aharon and his children. The Leviim are the rest of the tribe that came from Levi. Kohanim are actually Leviim. They're just an offshoot from Aharon. So in the time of Mashiach, Leviim are going to be able to do the same work as the Kohanim. So Korach said, let's bring Mashiach now. We're all holy. Let's bring Mashiach now. Let's cut to the chase. Why do we have to wait till all these hundreds or even thousands of years happen in order for that reality to happen? Let's do it now. We're in good standings. Hashem is living amongst us. We're all holy. Is there any better time to bring Mashiach than now? Got a point? He said, I'm also holy. I also have a king in my lineage. He saw Shmuel. He saw himself as if being equivalent to Moshe Rabbeinu. He said, the same way that he's a king, I have a king in my lineage. The same way that he's holy, I'm holy. We are all holy. He said, let's cut to the chase. Let's bring Mashiach now. And that's why they say, Tzaddik Atamar Yifrach. It says that Korach is going to be in the end of Tzaddik. In other words, we'll be able to see his viewpoint when Mashiach comes. Right now, he's not in a good place. Right now, he's in Sheol. He's on a very low level of hell. You know, we're talking about Machloket. When was Machloket brought into the world? What day was it created? From in the 6 days of creation, which day was Machloket brought into the world? It's Monday. Monday was the second day that to creation, and Machloket came in. Why? Because Sunday there's only one. What happens when there's two people in the room? You can have a Machloket, right? What was the real Machloket though? The Machloket was in the Shamayim, in the heavens. The sun and the moon were the exact same size. So the moon comes to Hashem and says, listen, we can't have two rulers of the heavens, two rulers of the skies. Somebody has to rule the sky. So that Hashem tells them, well, you can't, since you want one to rule over the other, then I'll make you smaller and the sun will rule. So the moon says, but how could it be? I came up with the idea. I came with the whole concept of maybe it should be something else, and now you're making me smaller, and the sun is going to be bigger. He said, yeah, because you brought machloket, I have to make you smaller. But something that's interesting that Hashem gave to appease the moon, he told, but what's different with you is that my people, the Jewish people, are going to do the calendar year according to you, and the sun is only visible during the day. The moon is visible in the day and night. How many times have we seen the moon during the day? We can see the moon during the day, right? Very interesting. And a little hint for that, if you want to see how Machloket was brought into the world on Monday, and when you read the Shir Shel Yom, every day there's a Shir. On Monday, how does it start? Shir Mizmor Ibn Korach. Why? Because Korach is known for the Machloket. So there's a little hint over there that Machloket was brought into the world on Mondays. However, the real reason of the machloket between Moshe and Korach and Adato is kin'ah, which is jealousy. Jealousy is the driving force for this parasha. Because besides the jealousy of Korach, of Aharon and Moshe, and the skipping over of Valit Safan, you have to imagine what happened over there. Last week's parasha, we had all the Leviim shave all their hairs off their body, their eyebrows, their beards, their head. They were completely hairless. And Aaron would pick them up and lift them. One of the things in Sota Levim, it was a process. Imagine, they said he did it for thousands and thousands of Levim. Aaron would lift him up, a 200, 300, 400 pound person, like this, put him over here. What strength he have to have. So Korach sees himself in the mirror. He doesn't like what he sees. Hairless, kind of ugly looking. And he looks to the right and he sees Aaron, beautiful beard, all dressed up with the garb of a Kohen Gadol. He was jealous. Because again, he sees that we're all equal. How come you get that and I don't get this? He says we're all equal over here. Socialism. So, his wife begins to mock him. His wife tells him, oh, look at you. You look at how you look, and look at the Aaron Kohen. How come he gets this position and you don't? In other words, he comes home, he's got a wife that's egging him on. That's what he comes home to. Here I'll take a moment to speak about a couple of wives in this week's parasha. There's the wife of On ben Pelet and the wife of Korach. Two different approaches to being a wife. See, Korach's wife made fun of him about his looks. She was taunting him about being skipped over in the positions. And basically she kept warming him up. Every time he'd come home, she'd fuel him in order to go out there and do more machloket with Moshe. What happened? Basically we know that the end of the story is that Korach and his whole household and all that belonged to him got swallowed in the ground. What was her role in it? Not a good one. She was a big part of egging him on and causing the destruction of her household. The other gentleman of On ben Pelet, his wife is trying to speak some sense into him. She tells him, what are you doing? This is not your fight to fight. He says, let's put it this way. Look. It says, you are from Shevet Reuven. Even if Korach becomes anything, you can't serve in the Mishkan. What do you have to gain? And you go against Moshe, you have nothing to gain there either. Both of them are losing battles. So what are you doing it for? You don't win here and you don't win here. It's better to just not do anything. So she's trying to talk him out of it, and in the process he's like, no, I can't, I already committed myself. I told Korach, which was a very important man in Am Yisrael, very smart, carries the ark, super wealthy, very influential. He gathered 250 of the most important men in the nation of Am Yisrael. How can I tell him no? How can I let him down? No, I'm going with Korach, regardless of what you're saying. What did she do? She let him drink some wine. And that wine made him sleep. And so he fell asleep, and now she looks out of her tent. What does she see? 250 men coming to round up everybody. They're coming to pick up On ben Pelet. So she said, well, if they come, they're going to try to wake up my husband and take him. I'm not going to do it. What did she do? She opens up her hair, and she starts to brush it. Right in the front door of her tent. Now we know that hair is Ayruva. A man is not allowed to look at another woman's hair. That's why the women, when they get married, they cover their hair. It's niut. So she's standing right there, because you have to understand, these guys were tzaddikim. These were righteous men. They just thought that they were fighting the right fight, but they were wrong. They were wrong. But at the end of the day, they thought that they were doing the right thing. So when they see a woman brushing her hair, what do? They turn around. Oh, I can't look. What did they do? They made a U-turn and turn around. They left, which helped, because what happened right after that? They were set afire after they brought the Ketoret. Korach was swallowed into the ground. Ben Pelet wakes up. He's alive. His wife saved him. Two different approaches. One wife egging her husband on, causing the destruction. The other one knowing the right thing to do and saving her husband's life. On Ben Pelet. Now, I heard actually something from my uncle this Shabbat from Abraham. Very interesting Midrash. He says, very interesting Chidush. He says, if they saw her brushing her hair, then go around the tent and go get on Ben Pelet. You don't have to go through the front door. But they said that there were such tzaddikim that they said any man who has a wife that stands in the front door with her hair like that, there's no man that can be part of this group. It's amazing. The tzaddikim, even though they're about to make one of the biggest sins in the world and about to die, still had the values of a tzaddikim. It shows to you that sometimes a person can have all the education, have all that is necessary to be a tzaddik, but sometimes they choose a different road about one thing and it's to their demise. Continuing along the lines of the jealousy, which is the real reason why Korach, who seems to have had everything, he had everything. He had the money, he had the kids, he had the family. He was holding the ark. It's not enough for you in life. It's not enough. It seems like when you get to certain positions, you always want more. Lahavdi, you see with Haman. Also, he had everything. But one guy didn't bow to him. He couldn't have it. It seems that when you get to certain places in life where you have everything, it's like that one thing that you must have to complete you. But it's all a hoax. It's a farce. You should be happy with what you have. Samach b'chelkecha. Korach was not. But this whole thing of kin'ah, this whole thing of jealousy, when we see it in the story of the parasha, yeah, it's connected to the storyline that we have here, but there's a deeper secret buried in here. Moshe and Korach had a bill that needed to be ironed out. And for this, we have to go back to Sefer Bereshit, to Parashat Bereshit, to Cain and Hevel. Sefer Gilgulim of the Arizal says that Cain and Hevel were actually Moshe and Korach. Over here we had a tikkun. What's the tikkun? So if you go back to the story of Cain and Hevel, what happened? There was jealousy between the brothers. What was the jealousy about? Two things. One, that Hashem accepted Hevel's offering and not Cain. So he was jealous about that. And also when they were born with twins, girls. And there was one extra one. In other words, they had 2 and 3. Twin girls and triplets. So 2 and 2 is fine, but what did they do that extra triplet? No, sorry, not 2 and 2. It was born with an extra sister. So no, they get 1 and 1, but what did they do with the third one? So they got into a machloket. No, I'll have it. There was a kin'ah over there. Who's going to get the extra sister? What happens? Cain kills Hevel. And after he kills Hevel, we see that the Kadosh Baruch Hu comes to Cain and tells him, what did you do? Demei achicha zoakim ma'adama. The blood of your brother are screaming from the ground. So from that little scenario, we see that there's a concept of measure for measure. What's the measure for measure? Korach, when it was all said and done, he got swallowed, the earth opened up, the mouth of the earth, Pia Adama, opened up and swallowed Korach and his family and their tents and all that belonged to him. If something that belonged to Korach was on the other side of the world, the ground opened up and swallowed it as well. Everything got swallowed into the ground. On the way down to this hole, his children made teshuvah. They said, no, Moshe is right. Right away, on the way down, came out like this piece of land and became like a balcony where they stood. and they didn't go all the way down. They said that they were in She'olah. What's She'olah? There's a few levels in Gehenom. The bottom one is Avdon. It's the last one. You can't get out of that one. The one right above that one is She'olah. That's where they're staying right now. And She'olah, they say that you can get out of it. At the end of days, there's a certain process that's possible to get out of it. That's where they're staying. But they didn't go all the way down. Hashem created like a little balcony where they're standing right there, and they were able to get saved. There's a Gemara Sanhedrin, and also some mention in Gemara Megillah. It says over there, Uvnei Korach lo metu. The children of Korach did not die. That's what the Gemara says. The ground swallowed them, but they're not dead. They said that they are in the middle of the desert, and they're in this place called She'olah, which is one of the levels of hell. And all day long, they're making teshuvah, and you can hear them say, Moshe emet v'torato emet. Moshe is true, and his Torah is true. And Moshe is right, and his Torah is right. The Gemara continues to tell the story of how there's a desert nomad that knows the spot, and he was able to take people to it, and he would bring them to the spot, and he said there's like these two little holes with ash, not smoke coming out of it, and when you get closer, you hear Korach's children saying, Moshe emet v'torato emet. Unbelievable. They also say that there's 3 entrances to hell in the world. One of them is in that desert, and that's that spot. Super interesting, because what's happening over here, this measure for measure, is that when Cain killed Hevel's blood, Hashem said, the bloods of your brothers are screaming to me from the ground. Fast forward to Moshe and Korach. Who's screaming from the ground? Korach's children are screaming from the ground. Moshe emet v'torato emet. In other words, last time you killed my blood. This time, I killed your blood. Hevel got his payback, or his reparation, or the tikkun on what happened there with Moshe and Korach. That was beautiful. Lastly, I thought it was so interesting, is we learned from Korach how to campaign. This is for anybody who wants to see how the Torah translates to nowadays, to the world today, of how we can relate it to today's world. The question goes, how is it possible that 250 very prominent men, heads of families, heads of tribes, can get swayed to come with Korach? These are not regular men. We just mentioned what they can do, the power that they have, and people of stature. That's one thing. But what about after witnessing all the miracles as well? You just saw Yetziat Mitzrayim. You just saw Har Sinai. You just saw Moshe Rabbeinu doing all these miracles for us, saving the Jewish people from plagues, from certain death. There's so many situations that Moshe has proven himself as a true leader, saving them from tragedies just a few weeks ago. How do you convince those prominent people to go against Moshe? Against Moshe? Surely you know that Moshe is righteous. How do you get those people to see things your way? They should be smarter than that. I mean, it's a tall order. It's very ambitious for Korach to take that on himself, to outright say, we are going against the leader. Rashi says that the way he got them, he made light of things. He made jokes. Letzanut. He played down the machloket. He created this levity in the air that changed the sentiment of all the people. The Midrash Me'en HaShavua says that feeling, that laughter, that litzanu, this air that he brought into the camp while he was campaigning was a lubricating oil for his agenda. It was like an agent that helped his agenda come along. He told a story. I was able to find the story that Korach was telling the people. So imagine, here's Korach, he's got all these people around him, and now he has to convince them, listen to me, I'm right, go against the true leader, see it my way. And how did he do that? He began on making them laugh. He says, started to make, I'll read it in Hebrew, but I'll translate it. He says, we're starting to make fun of Moshe and Aaron. And he said, there once was a widower, and she was living in my neighborhood with two of her orphan daughters. And she had a field. And when she came to plow the field, Moshe comes over to her and tells her, wait, you can't plow your field with an ox and a donkey. It's not allowed. She came to plant seeds in the field. Moshe tells her, well, you can't put two different seeds in the ground. You can't have klaim. It has to be one kind separated from the other. She came to harvest and to put everything in bundles. He tells her, whatever is dropping on the floor, you can't pick up. You got to leave that for the poor people. When she came to take let's say the wheat, and take the grain out of it, it says, well, as soon as you take it out from the chaff and just leave the grain, it's time for you to give a truma. What's a truma? An offering. And you have to give maaser, a tenth, and maaser rishon, maaser sheni. In other words, you have to give your maaser 3 times. She said, you know what? You're right. This is the law. I must do it. And she gave it to him. Seeing that it was so difficult, she decided to sell the field. She's like, I can't do this anymore. It's too difficult to do it according to the Jewish law. So she sold the field and she purchased two lambs. And she said, what I'll do is I'll take the wool and I'll make clothing out of it, and I'll take the milk and I'll eat off of that. Now, as soon as those goats, these 2 lambs grew up and had children, the firstborn, we know is the law, that the firstborn you have to give to the Kohen. So he says, Ahon came and took the firstborn from her. When it came down to the shearing of the wool, we have a halacha that the first shearing goes to the Kohen as well. So he came and he says, give me the first shearing of the lamb, of the goat. She says, you know what, I don't have power to deal with this either. I'm going to just slaughter it and eat it. And as soon as she slaughtered it, comes the Kohen and he tells her, wait. As soon as you slaughter, the zoa and the lechaim and the keva, one of the legs, the cheeks and the stomach, has to go to the Kohen. And she says, nah, even that I slaughtered the animal, I can't escape this? No, I'm sorry. It says it goes to the Kohen, it goes to the cherem. You can't have those. Give it to me. She says, and it says that anything that is cherem goes to the Kohen, so he takes it. She gave it to him as well. She sat there and she started to cry, her and her 2 kids. So now you see that what he did is he took the halachot of what a person is supposed to do when he has a field, when he has an animal, when he has wool, or when he has a firstborn. He tied it into a story with levity, with making them laugh, to see that here's this poor woman that was following the ways of the laws of Moshe and Aaron, and in the end she was left with nothing. Everywhere she turned, they were taking a bite from her, taking a bite. In other words, trying to paint a picture that they are serving themselves. And this story, and the way that he presented him, made people laugh and made light of things. And you can see that this tactic is still used today. Many people today, when they campaign against other candidates, what they do is try to make light of the other candidate. Like, for example, in the Israeli elections, not that I follow it, but I was able to see one thing. I was able to see a commercial of Bibi Netanyahu knocking on somebody's door, coming in to babysit their children. And the commercial was that, don't worry, you can trust me with your children. And it was a joke. It was a pretty funny commercial. But that was Korach's tactic. In other words, there's such heavy issues in the country, such important subject matters that to be discussed when you're choosing a president. Meanwhile, he does a commercial of him babysitting the children, making light of things. In order to lubricate the situation so you can choose him over his opponent. Something that is still used today. They say, one last thing, that David HaMelech wrote in Tehillim, says, אשרי האיש אשר לא הלך בעצת רשעים ובדרך חטאים לא עמד ובמושב לצים לא ישב. Great is he the man, the one who didn't go in the same state of mind of the wicked, and didn't go in the ways of the people that sin, and did not sit in a gathering where people are making laughter or making litzanut. They were talking about Korach over here. He says when you sit around people like that, they make jokes, and those jokes make you think differently of what the truth might end up being. And we're seeing Korach, we got a little glimpse into his life and the tactics that he used. Very interesting. And from this parasha, we learn that we always need a leader. And the Be'ezrat Hashem will merit to have a leader like Moshe Rabbeinu, and the Melech Mashiach, and Mashiach HaMelech. And Be'ezrat Hashem will merit to have wives like the wife of On Ben Peled, and not like the wife of Korach. And Be'ezrat Hashem, Shabbat Shalom, Bracha v'Atzlacha.